She was 17, hiding in a motel room, when her stepdad's truck pulled into the lot. Her fingers shook as she sent one desperate text to a group she barely knew: "Stepdad found me." Room 23. What she didn't know, 99 bikers were already on their way, and they weren't leaving without her. The neon sign outside Motel 9 flickered like a dying heartbeat, pink, then dark, then pink again. Lena pressed her face against the cold window glass, watching rainwater streak down in crooked lines. Her breath fogged the pain, and she wiped it away with trembling fingers. That's when she saw them. Headlights. Two beams cutting through the rain like searchlights hunting prey. Her stomach dropped. She knew that truck. The dented chrome bumper, the way it sat too low on the driver's side because he'd never bothered to fix the suspension. Her stepdad had found her. "No, no, no," Lena whispered, stumbling backward. Her hip caught the edge of the nightstand, sending the lamp wobbling. She steadied it with shaking hands, her mind racing. How did he find her? She'd been so careful. She'd paid cash for the bus ticket, thrown away her old phone, bought this cheap burner at a gas station 3 towns over. But there he was. Parking right under the flickering sign, his silhouette visible through the rain-blurred windshield. Lena's heart hammered so hard she could feel it in her throat. She was 17, alone, and 300 miles from anyone who gave a damn. The motel clerk hadn't even looked up when she'd checked in 4 hours ago. This place was the kind of nowhere that people came to disappear, or to be disappeared. Her fingers fumbled for the burner phone on the bed. The screen lit up, casting blue light across her face. She scrolled through the contacts. There weren't many. Just Sarah from her old school, who'd probably blocked her by now. The crisis hotline number she'd never had the courage to call. And then. The Road Saints. It was a group chat she'd been added to 6 months ago, back when things were different. Back when her mom was still alive, before the cancer took her, before everything fell apart. The bikers had been doing a charity ride through her town, raising money for the children's hospital. Lena had been volunteering that day, handing out water bottles and trying to smile through the grief that was eating her alive. One of the bikers, a woman with silver hair and kind eyes, had noticed. "You look like you're carrying the world, sweetheart," she'd said. "We all need people." Here, she'd added Lena to their group chat. "You ever need anything, anything at all, you reach out." Lena had never used it. The messages came through occasionally, photos of group rides, barbecues, announcements about community events. She'd been too scared to engage, too afraid her stepdad would find out and delete it like he deleted everything else in her life. But now. Outside, a truck door slammed. Heavy boots hit the pavement. Lena's fingers moved on instinct. She typed fast, her vision blurring with tears. "Stepdad found me. Motel 9, room 23. Please." She hit send before she could second-guess herself. Then she dropped the phone on the bed and backed into the corner, pressing herself against the junction of 2 walls like she could make herself invisible. Footsteps approached. Slow. Deliberate. She could hear them even over the rain drumming on the roof. Then came the knock. 3 sharp raps that made her flinch. "Lena," his voice was muffled through the door but unmistakable. Flat. Cold. The same voice that had told her she was worthless every day since her mom died. "Open up. We're going home." Home. The word was poison. That house hadn't been home since the funeral. It had become a prison, and he'd been the warden, controlling her phone, her money, her every movement. When he'd started looking at her differently, when his hands had started lingering too long on her shoulders, she'd known she had to run. "I know you're in there," he continued. "Saw your sneakers by the door. Those raggedy blue ones your mama bought you." Lena's eyes darted to the door. She had left her shoes outside to dry. Stupid. So stupid. Come on now. Don't make this difficult. The doorknob rattled. Lena's blood turned to ice. She hadn't locked the deadbolt, just the regular lock, and it was flimsy. She could see the door shaking in its frame as he tested it. On the bed, her phone buzzed. Once. Twice. 3 times. Messages flooding in. She didn't dare move to check them. The rattling stopped. For a moment, there was only the sound of rain and her own ragged breathing. Then her stepdad's voice came again, quieter now, and somehow that was worse. I've been driving for 6 hours, Lena. I'm tired. You're tired. Let's not do this the hard way. You've got nowhere to go anyway. No money. No friends. Your aunt won't take you, I made sure of that. So open this door, or I'm getting the clerk to open it for me. Your choice. Lena squeezed her eyes shut. He was right about most of it. She had $43 left. No family who'd believe her over him. She'd been naive to think she could run, that she could actually escape. But then. A new sound cut through the rain. Distant at first, like thunder rolling in from far away. But it grew louder, closer, more distinct. It wasn't thunder. It was engines. Lots of them. Her stepdad heard it too. His voice came through the door, confused now. What the hell? Lena crept toward the window, careful to stay hidden behind the curtain. She pulled back just an edge and looked out. Her breath caught. They were coming down the highway like a storm-given form, motorcycles, dozens of them, headlights blazing through the darkness. The sound of their engines built into a roar that shook the motel windows. One by one, they peeled into the parking lot. 10 bikes. 20. 30. More kept coming, filing in with precision, forming a semicircle around her stepdad's truck. Rain streamed off leather jackets and gleaming chrome. Their headlights turned the lot bright as day. Lena's stepdad stood frozen by her door, his face slack with shock. The lead bike stopped directly in front of him. The rider killed his engine and swung off, a tall man with gray in his beard and eyes like flint. He walked forward slowly, deliberately, rain running off his leather vest. The patch on his back read, Road Saints, President. You lost, friend? His voice was calm, but there was iron underneath. Behind him, more engines cut out. The sudden silence was deafening. Lena counted the bikes in the lot, her heart pounding. 99. There were 99 bikers standing in the rain, and every single one of them was staring at her stepdad. Her phone buzzed again. With trembling hands, she picked it up and read the message at the top. Hawk, sit tight, kid. We got you. You're one of ours now. Hawk stood in the rain like a monument carved from stone, water streaming off his leather vest. Behind him, 98 other bikers formed a wall of chrome and defiance. The parking lot lights reflected off their machines, turning the wet asphalt into a mirror of fire. Lena's stepdad, Marcus Webb, tried to recover his composure. He forced a laugh that sounded hollow against the rumble of cooling engines. This is a private family matter, gentlemen. My daughter. Stepdaughter, Hawk corrected, his voice quiet but sharp as a blade. And she's not going anywhere with you. Marcus's face darkened. He was a big man, used to intimidating people with his size. He puffed out his chest and took a step forward. Listen here, you don't know what you're getting into. That girl is troubled. She runs away, makes up stories. Like the bruises on her arms, a woman's voice cut through the rain. Mama Joe stepped forward from the line of bikers. She was 60 if she was a day, with silver hair pulled back in a braid and eyes that had seen too much suffering to tolerate lies. Like the way she flinches when men raise their voices? Those kind of stories? Marcus's jaw clenched. I don't have to explain myself to a bunch of concerned citizens. Hawk finished for him. That's what we are. We got a call from someone in distress. We responded. That's all the law needs to know. As if on cue, red and blue lights appeared at the highway entrance. A sheriff's cruiser rolled into the lot slowly, carefully navigating around the sea of motorcycles. Sheriff Tom Bradshaw had been expecting maybe a noise complaint, possibly a bar fight. What he found instead made him reach for his radio backup button, then hesitate. The bikers weren't threatening anyone. They were just standing there, blocking Marcus Webb from room 23. Bradshaw climbed out of his cruiser, hand resting on his belt near his weapon but not drawing it. Somebody want to tell me what's going on here? Wellness check, Sheriff, Hawk said, not taking his eyes off Marcus. Got a message from a minor saying she was in danger. We came to make sure she was safe until proper authorities arrived. Marcus jumped in immediately. Sheriff Bradshaw, thank God you're here. These people are harassing me. I'm just trying to collect my daughter, she ran away from home. I have every legal right. Stepdaughter, Mama Joe repeated. And you have no rights if she's in danger. Danger? Marcus laughed again, but it was brittle now. From me? I raised that girl. Fed her, clothed her, gave her a roof over her head after her mother died. Room 23, Hawk called out, his voice carrying across the lot. You okay in there? Inside the room, Lena's hands shook as she grabbed the phone. Another message had come through. Hawk, when the sheriff asks, tell him the truth. All of it. We're not leaving until you're safe. She moved to the door, unlocked it, and opened it just a crack. Every eye in the parking lot turned toward her. Under different circumstances, being stared at by 100 people would have terrified her. But these weren't the eyes of predators. They were the eyes of protectors. I'm okay, she said, her voice small but steady. But I don't want to go with him. Lena. Marcus's voice turned sharp. Get out here right now. Stop embarrassing me. Why'd you run, miss? Sheriff Bradshaw asked, ignoring Marcus. He moved closer to her door, positioning himself between her and her stepdad. Your stepfather says you're troubled. That true? This was it. The moment she could speak or stay silent forever. Lena's voice cracked but she pushed through. He hits me. He touches me wrong. After Mom died, he changed. I tried to tell my aunt, but he got to her first. Said I was lying for attention. I had to run. The parking lot went deadly quiet. Even the rain seemed to soften. Marcus's face went purple. That's a goddamn lie. Sheriff, she's been watching too many movies. I never laid a hand on that girl except to discipline her when. When what? Hawk's voice was ice. When she talked back? When she didn't clean fast enough? When she existed? I have rights. Marcus shouted. She's a minor under my legal guardianship. And I'm an officer of the law, Bradshaw interrupted, his tone shifting. He'd seen the fear in the girl's eyes. That wasn't acting. And what I'm seeing here is a potential domestic situation that requires investigation. Miss, would you be willing to come down to the station and make a formal statement? Lena nodded quickly. Yes. Please. This is bullshit. Marcus lunged toward the door. He didn't make it 2 steps. Hawk moved like lightning for a man his age, stepping directly into Marcus's path. He didn't touch him, didn't have to. 20 other bikers shifted forward in perfect synchronization, a human wall. You don't want to do that, Hawk said softly. Trust me. Marcus looked around wildly. He was surrounded by 99 bikers, one very interested sheriff, and a girl who'd finally found her voice. The odds had shifted completely. Fine, he spat. Fine. But this isn't over. I know people. I got lawyers. That girl owes me for 3 years of. Of what? Mama Joe asked quietly. What exactly does a child owe you for providing basic care? Marcus went silent, realizing he'd said too much. Sheriff Bradshaw gestured toward his cruiser. Miss, why don't you come with me? We'll get you somewhere safe while we sort this out. But Hawk shook his head. With respect, Sheriff, we'll take her. We've got a safe house specifically for situations like this. Licensed through the state. She'll give her statement in the morning when she's had rest and food. Bradshaw studied Hawk for a long moment, then nodded slowly. I know your operation, Hawk. Heard good things. All right. But I'm taking Mr. Webb here in for questioning. And I'll need to know where the girl is. You'll have our address within the hour, Hawk promised. As Bradshaw escorted a furious Marcus to the cruiser, Mama Joe walked to Lena's door and smiled gently. Come on, sweetheart. Let's get you dry. Lena stepped out into the rain, and 99 engines roared to life in unison, not a threat, but a promise. She was under their protection now. Morning light filtered through high windows, cutting through the dust motes floating in the air. Lena woke to the smell of motor oil, coffee, and something baking. For a confused moment, she couldn't remember where she was. Then it came back in a rush, the motel, the bikers, the ride through darkness on the back of Mama Joe's bike, arriving at a massive garage on the outskirts of town at 2 in the morning. She sat up on the small cot in what had been a storage room. Someone had left clean clothes folded on a chair, jeans, a t-shirt, and a hoodie that smelled like laundry detergent instead of fear. Real clothes, not the ones she'd been wearing for 3 days straight. When she emerged from the room, she found herself in the main garage bay. It was enormous, big enough for a dozen cars, but currently housing only motorcycles in various states of repair. Tool benches lined the walls. Band posters and road maps covered every available surface. In one corner, a mismatched collection of couches and recliners formed a makeshift living room around an old TV. Coffee or hot chocolate? Mama Joe called from a small kitchen area built into what used to be an office. And don't say you're not hungry. I heard your stomach from here. Lena's cheeks flushed. Hot chocolate, please. The garage door rumbled open, and Hawk rode in on his bike, followed by 2 others. They'd been out all night, she realized. Keeping watch. Making sure Marcus didn't try to follow. Morning, kid, Hawk said, swinging off his bike. Up close in daylight, he looked older than she'd thought, maybe 60, with weathered skin and scars on his knuckles that told stories. But his eyes were kind. Sleep okay? Better than I have in months, Lena admitted. Over the next hour, more bikers filtered in. Ghost, a thin guy in his 30s with thick glasses who looked more like a programmer than a biker. Rex, built like a bear and missing 2 fingers on his left hand. Diesel, a black woman with intricate braids and a laugh that filled the whole garage. They all treated her with a careful respect, like she was something precious that might break if handled wrong. Mama Joe set a plate in front of her, scrambled eggs, toast, fresh fruit. Real food. Lena's eyes stung with sudden tears. Hey now, Mama Joe said gently, sitting beside her. You're safe here. Eat up. Between bites, Lena's story spilled out. How her mom had died 18 months ago. How Marcus had seemed supportive at first, then controlling. How he'd isolated her from friends, monitored her phone, made her account for every minute. How 3 months ago, things had changed in a way that made her skin crawl. He started coming into my room at night, she whispered, staring at her plate. Just standing there. Watching me sleep. Then he'd leave. One night he sat on my bed. Touched my hair. Said I looked just like my mom did at my age. Hawk's jaw clenched so hard Lena heard his teeth grind. I started sleeping with a chair against the door, she continued. But then he got angry about it. Said I was being disrespectful. That's when I knew I had to leave. Smart girl, Mama Joe said firmly. Trusting your instincts. That takes courage. But how did he find me? Lena asked, the question that had haunted her all night. I was so careful. Ghost looked up from his laptop in the corner. I've been wondering that too. Mind if I check your phone? Lena handed over her burner. Ghost plugged it into his computer and started typing rapidly. After a minute, he cursed under his breath. What is it? Hawk asked. Your stepdad's got connections, Ghost said slowly, turning the laptop screen. This phone? It was purchased with cash, yeah, but look at the activation records. Someone flagged it in the system. There's tracking software buried in the SIM card itself, military-grade stuff. Not something a regular civilian should have access to. The room went very quiet. What are you saying? Lena asked. I'm saying your stepdad's into something bigger than being an abusive piece of, Ghost caught himself. He's connected. And whatever he's running, he's got resources. Hawk exchanged a look with Mama Joe. What kind of business is he in, Lena? Officially? He runs a salvage yard, Lena said. Webb's Auto Salvage. Says he buys wrecked cars and sells the parts. But what? He'd get calls at weird hours. 2, 3 in the morning. And sometimes trucks would come in the middle of the night. I'd hear them from my bedroom, these big rigs backing up to the warehouse. Once I asked him about it and she touched her cheek, remembering. He didn't like questions. Ghost's fingers flew across his keyboard. Webb's Auto Salvage. Let me just, he pulled up tax records, business licenses, property deeds. His eyes widened. Holy hell. This place grossed $3 million last year. For a small-town salvage yard? No way that's legitimate. Chop shop? Rex suggested. Bigger, Ghost muttered, diving deeper into databases Lena suspected weren't entirely legal to access. Look at these transfer records. Vehicles coming in from all over, accident reports don't match VIN numbers. Some of these cars are reported stolen in other states. Hawk leaned over Ghost's shoulder, his expression darkening. He's running a theft ring. Not just theft, Ghost said, pulling up shipping manifests. He's moving them. Falsifying titles, revining stolen vehicles, selling them across state lines. This is organized crime. And if he's got access to tracking tech like what was in Lena's phone, he paused. He's either working with or paying off someone in law enforcement or federal agencies. The implications hung heavy in the air. We can't just protect her, Mama Joe said quietly. If he's this connected, he'll keep coming. And he'll use the law to do it. Hawk straightened up, his decision made. Then we don't just defend. We dismantle his whole operation. How? Lena asked. Hawk smiled, but it wasn't friendly. We expose him. Every vehicle, every falsified document, every dirty connection. We burn his empire down, not with violence, but with truth. He looked around at his crew. Who's in? Every hand in the garage went up. Marcus Webb sat in his lawyer's office, fury radiating off him like heat. His knuckles were white as he gripped the arms of the leather chair. 99 bikers, he spat. 99 criminals interfered with my legal guardianship, and you're telling me there's nothing we can do? Gerald Finch, attorney at law, adjusted his glasses carefully. Marcus, they didn't technically break any laws. They responded to what they claim was a distress call. The girl went willingly with them to a licensed safe house. Sheriff Bradshaw verified the location. Legally, there. I don't care about legally. Marcus slammed his fist on the desk. That girl knows too much. She's been in my house, in my office. If she starts talking, then we discredit her first, Finch interrupted smoothly. That's what I'm proposing. We control the narrative before she can. 2 hours later, the first post went live. It was on a local community Facebook group, a carefully worded plea from a concerned father whose troubled stepdaughter had been kidnapped by a motorcycle gang. The post included a photo of Lena from her mom's funeral, eyes red from crying, looking vulnerable and lost. My stepdaughter Lena has a history of running away and making false accusations for attention, the post read. She's a troubled teen who's been struggling since her mother's death. Now a dangerous biker gang called the Road Saints has taken her, and the authorities won't help. Please share this and help me bring her home safely. Within an hour, it had 200 shares. By evening, it had 3,000. The comments section exploded. Some people defended Lena, but others, too many others, bought Marcus's story completely. Those biker gangs are all criminals, that poor man just trying to help his daughter, someone needs to investigate this Road Saints group. Then came the news vans. Channel 7 showed up at the garage the next morning, camera crew in tow. Hawk refused to comment, which only made them look guilty. By noon, the story was on 3 local stations, biker gang accused of harboring runaway teen. Inside the garage, Lena watched the coverage with growing horror. This is my fault. I'm ruining everything for you. Stop, Mama Joe said firmly. This is his fault. He's a manipulator, and this is what they do, they twist reality until victims blame themselves. But the damage was spreading. The Road Saints charity sponsors started calling, nervous. The community center where they volunteered asked them to take a break until things settled down. Parents who'd been fine with their kids at Road Saints events suddenly weren't returning calls. Ghost burst into the garage, his laptop under his arm. It gets worse. Check this out. He pulled up a website, one of those anonymous, citizen journalism blogs that trafficked in conspiracy theories. Someone had written an entire expose on the Road Saints, painting them as a criminal organization involved in drug trafficking, money laundering, and now child abduction. This is all lies, Diesel said, reading over his shoulder. We run charity rides. We help domestic violence survivors. We've never. Doesn't matter, Ghost said grimly. It's online now. And look at the comments, people are eating it up. Hawk read through the blog post, his jaw tight. Every legitimate thing they'd built over 15 years was being dismantled in real time. Their reputation, their community standing, their ability to actually help people, all of it crumbling because of one man's lies. He's smart, Ghost muttered. He's not threatening us physically. He's destroying us socially. Even if we prove Lena's telling the truth, the stink of this will stick. We'll always be that biker gang that was accused of kidnapping. Rex cracked his knuckles. So we ride over there and... No, Hawk said sharply. That's exactly what he wants. One of us lays a hand on him, and we prove every lie he's told. We become the monsters he's painted us as. So what do we do? Lena asked, her voice small. Let him win. Hawk looked at Ghost. You said you found something yesterday. About his business. Can you prove it? Ghost nodded slowly. With time, yeah. His records are sloppy, probably because he never expected anyone to look. Give me access to his systems, and I can map his entire operation. How do we get that access? Mama Joe asked. A smile crept across Ghost's face. We don't need physical access. Marcus has security cameras all over his salvage yard, I've seen the feeds. They're connected to the internet. Which means if I can breach his network. You can see everything he's doing, Hawk finished. More than that, Ghost said, warming to the idea. I can access his computers, his files, his communications. Everything. That's illegal, Rex pointed out. So is running a stolen vehicle operation, Ghost countered. So is bribing officials and falsifying federal documents. Question is, do we play by rules he's already broken, or do we let him destroy us and keep hurting people? The garage fell silent. This was a line they'd never crossed before. The Road Saints operated in the light, charity work, community service, legitimate business. What Ghost was proposing would push them into shadows. Lena spoke up, her voice stronger now. He has filing cabinets in his office. Locked ones. He'd threaten to break my fingers if I ever touched them. Whatever he's hiding, it's in there. Hawk looked around at his crew. This isn't a vote. Anyone uncomfortable with this walks away, no judgment. But I'm going after him. He's not just threatening us anymore, he's threatening every kid we might help in the future. If we let him win, we're done. The Road Saints become nothing. One by one, they nodded. All right, Hawk said. Ghost, your point on this. Start mapping his operation. Find everything, the stolen vehicles, the money trails, who he's paying off. We need evidence so solid that even his lawyer can't spin it. What about the court hearing? Mama Joe asked. Lena's got a custody hearing scheduled for next week. If Marcus shows up with his lies and his lawyer, then we show up with the truth, Hawk said. Not just about what he did to Lena, but what he's been doing to everyone. We don't just defend ourselves. We end him. Ghost opened his laptop. Give me 48 hours. I'll get you everything you need. Outside, another news van pulled up. Through the window, they could see the reporter practicing her concerned face for the camera. The war had begun. And this time, the weapons would be truth and data. But Marcus Webb had one more move to make, one nobody saw coming. Ghost hadn't slept in 36 hours. His eyes were bloodshot, and empty energy drink cans littered his workspace like bullet casings. But the grin on his face was triumphant. I'm in, he announced, spinning his laptop around. Full access to Webb's auto-salvage security system, computer network, everything. The garage erupted in subdued cheers. They couldn't celebrate too loud with news vans still circling outside periodically. Hawk leaned over the screen. What are we looking at? Christmas, Ghost said. Look, 3 warehouses on the property. The main one he shows to customers. But these 2? He pointed to structures on the security camera feeds. Locked down tight. And check out what rolled in last night. The footage showed a semi-truck backing up to the furthest warehouse at 2:47 a.m. Men unloaded 6 vehicles, all high-end. A Mercedes, 2 BMWs, a Lexus, a Cadillac Escalade, and a Tesla. Run the plates, Hawk ordered. Ghost was already typing. All reported stolen. The Mercedes was taken from a mall parking lot in Dallas 2 weeks ago. The Tesla disappeared from a dealership in Phoenix. These aren't just random thefts, this is a coordinated operation. Lena moved closer, studying the screen. That's Big Mike and Sergio. They work for Marcus. They're always around when the night shipments come. Can you get into his computer files? Mama Joe asked. Ghost's fingers danced across the keyboard. File directories bloomed across the screen, spreadsheets, shipping manifests, encrypted folders. He's got everything digital. Profits, expenses, contact lists. The idiot even keeps notes on which officials he's bribing. Look at this, Sheriff Deputy Pearson, $2,000 monthly. That's why Bradshaw didn't push harder, Rex muttered darkly. Not Bradshaw, Ghost corrected. His deputy. But yeah, Marcus has been buying protection. Also paying off a DMV clerk to process fake titles and a state inspector to certify rebuilt vehicles that were never actually rebuilt, just refined stolen cars. Hawk studied the shipment schedule Ghost had pulled up. When's the next transport? Tomorrow night. 11 p.m. 6 more vehicles going out to buyers in 3 different states. Then that's when we move, Hawk decided. We intercept, document everything, and hand it to federal authorities, not local cops he might have bought. How do we intercept without breaking laws ourselves? Diesel asked. We can't just steal his stolen cars. A slow smile crossed Hawk's face. We don't steal anything. We witness. And we make sure the right people witness with us. 12 hours later, the plan was set. Ghost had hacked into the warehouse security and would loop the camera feeds to hide their presence. Mama Jo had contacted an FBI field agent she knew from her previous work as a social worker, someone who specialized in interstate vehicle theft. The agent, Rodriguez, was skeptical but interested enough to agree to happen by, if provided with exact timing and evidence. This is insane, Lena said, watching them prepare. What if Marcus is there? What if his crew is armed? Then we leave, Hawk said simply, checking the body camera mounted on his vest. We're not heroes, kid. We're witnesses. We see something criminal, we document it, we get out. But Lena shook her head. I'm coming with you. Absolutely not, Mama Jo said immediately. I know the layout, Lena insisted. I've been in those warehouses. I know where he keeps the paperwork, the real paperwork, not the digital stuff. There's a safe in the back office of Warehouse 3. He doesn't know I saw the combination, but I did. 37-18-44, my mom's birthday. Hawk and Mama Jo exchanged glances. If there's physical evidence, Lena continued, it's in that safe. Financial records he keeps off computer. The real ledgers. You need those. She's right, Ghost admitted reluctantly. I can get digital files, but guys like Webb always keep hard copy backups. Old school crime insurance. Hawk considered for a long moment. You stay in the truck with Mama Jo. You don't get out unless we specifically call for you. And if anything goes sideways, we run. I know. At 10:47 p.m., 15 motorcycles rolled out of the garage, engines quiet, lights dimmed. They weren't all 99, that would draw too much attention. This was a surgical team, not an army. They parked a quarter-mile from Webb's Auto Salvage, hidden by an abandoned grain silo. Ghost confirmed the security loop was active. The semi-truck had arrived on schedule, and Marcus's crew was already unloading. For men visible, Ghost whispered, watching his laptop feed. Big Mike, Sergio, and 2 I don't recognize. Marcus isn't there, probably keeping his hands clean. Body cams on, Hawk ordered. Remember, we're ghosts. In and out. They moved through the darkness like shadows. The perimeter fence was easy, bolt cutters on a section hidden from the looped cameras. They crossed the yard in pairs, using parked wrecks as cover. Through the open warehouse door, they could hear voices and the beep of a forklift. Last run for a while, Big Mike was saying. Boss says heat's too hot with that biker situation. We lay low after this. Hawk caught it all on camera, the stolen vehicles, the men loading them, the VIN plates scattered on a workbench waiting to be installed. Rex filmed the wall where sheets of fake temporary registration tags hung like macabre decorations. Then Diesel spotted it, a desk in the corner office with a computer still logged in. Ghost, monitoring remotely, saw it too. That's Marcus's admin account. Get me access to that computer, I can pull everything directly. But as Hawk moved toward the office, headlights swept across the yard. A truck was pulling in. Marcus's truck. Abort? Rex whispered. Hawk's jaw set. They were so close. Lena, that safe, is it in the warehouse office or the main building? Her voice crackled through the radio. Warehouse 3. Where you are now. Ghost, how long to crack a safe? Are you serious right now? Ghost hissed. The truck doors slammed. Marcus's voice carried across the yard, angry about something. 30 seconds, Hawk said. That's all I need. He moved fast, slipping into the back office while Marcus was still 50 yards away, arguing with Big Mike. The safe was behind a calendar, exactly where Lena said. His fingers spun the dial, 37-18-44. It clicked open. Inside, ledgers, cash, and a stack of photographs that made Hawk's blood run cold. They weren't just financial records. They were blackmail insurance, photos of local officials with underage girls, envelopes of cash changing hands, documents that connected Marcus to organizations far darker than vehicle theft. Hawk's hand hovered over his camera. This was bigger than they'd imagined. Much bigger. Outside, Marcus's footsteps were getting closer. Hawk's hands moved with surgical precision. He photographed every page in the safe, the ledgers showing millions in transactions, the blackmail photos, the documents connecting Marcus Webb to a trafficking network that extended across 5 states. His body camera captured it all in high definition. Marcus's voice grew louder outside. Don't care what the schedule says. We move everything tonight. Those bikers are digging into my business, and I'm not waiting around for. Time to go, Rex whispered urgently through the radio. Hawk closed the safe, spun the dial, and slipped back into the shadows. The bikers retreated the same way they'd come, silent, invisible, leaving no trace they'd ever been there. By the time Marcus entered the warehouse, they were already beyond the fence line, melting into the darkness. Back at the grain silo, Hawk's hands were shaking as he downloaded the footage from his camera. Not from fear, from rage at what he'd seen. What was in there? Mama Joe asked. Hell, Hawk said quietly. Proof that Marcus Webb isn't just a car thief. He's running girls. Teenagers. The salvage business is a front for something much worse. The truck went silent. Lena's voice was barely a whisper. What? Hawk looked at her, his expression softening. I'm sorry, kid. But your instincts were right. What he was building up to with you, you weren't going to be the first. Ghost was already on his phone, fingers flying. Uploading everything to an encrypted server. Then I'm sending it to the FBI, IC, state police, and every major news outlet simultaneously. He won't be able to bribe his way out of this. Wait, Diesel said. If we expose all this, Marcus will know it was us. He'll come after Lena, after the garage. He can try, Hawk said. But he'll be in federal custody by morning. Ghost hit send. Done. It's out there. No taking it back now. They rode back to the garage in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. What they'd uncovered was beyond anything they'd imagined. This wasn't just about protecting one girl anymore. It was about stopping a predator who'd been operating in plain sight for years. The first news alert came at 6:47 a.m. Channel 7, the same station that had called them a dangerous biker gang 3 days earlier, broke the story, breaking, local businessman arrested in multi-state trafficking ring. Lena sat in the garage, watching the coverage with tears streaming down her face. Not tears of sadness, tears of validation. Of justice. The news showed federal agents swarming Webb's auto salvage at dawn. Marcus was led out in handcuffs, his face purple with rage, shouting about his lawyers and his rights. Big Mike and Sergio were arrested alongside him. Deputy Pearson, the one on Marcus's payroll, was suspended pending investigation. The reporter stood outside the salvage yard, her tone completely different from 3 days ago, anonymous whistleblowers provided authorities with extensive documentation of what federal agents are calling one of the largest vehicle theft and human trafficking operations uncovered in the region. Documents show Webb falsified thousands of vehicle titles while simultaneously running what investigators believe was a trafficking network targeting vulnerable teenagers. Ghost refreshed his news feeds. It's everywhere. CNN just picked it up. So did the Associated Press. This is national now. By noon, the full scope was public knowledge. Federal agents had found 4 girls locked in a hidden room in Warehouse 2, all runaways, all under 18, all reported missing from different states. They'd been waiting to be transported to buyers. The photos Hawk had found in the safe provided evidence of Marcus's leverage over officials who'd been helping him operate. The blackmail web extended further than anyone expected. A county judge. 2 state legislators. The head of a local, youth outreach program that Marcus had been using to identify vulnerable targets. One by one, they fell. Lena's phone buzzed. It was her Aunt Christine, the one who'd refused to help when she first ran. "Lena, honey, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Marcus told me you were lying, and I believed him. I should have listened. Can you ever forgive me?" Lena stared at the message for a long moment before responding, "I'll think about it." By evening, the narrative had completely flipped. The same Facebook groups that had shared Marcus's concerned father post were now sharing articles about the Road Saints' role in exposing him. Someone had leaked that they were the anonymous whistleblowers. The comments section transformed overnight. These bikers literally saved lives. We owe them an apology. The Road Saints are heroes. Channel 7 issued a public correction and apology. The community center called, asking if they'd consider coming back to volunteer. Sponsors who'd abandoned them were suddenly eager to renew partnerships. But inside the garage, there was no celebration. Hawk gathered his crew. 4 girls were rescued today. 4 lives saved. But Marcus had records going back 7 years. How many did we miss? How many girls did he move before we stopped him? The weight of that question settled over them. "We can't save everyone," Mama Jo said gently. "But we saved the ones we could. Including Lena." Lena stood up, her voice steady. "Those 4 girls, can I meet them? I want them to know they're not alone. That there are people who'll fight for them." Hawk smiled for the first time all day. "Agent Rodriguez is coordinating their care. I'll ask." Ghost closed his laptop. Webb's lawyer just released a statement. "They're claiming the evidence was obtained illegally and should be thrown out." "Won't matter," Rex said. FBI raided based on the anonymous tip. Everything they found after that is legal discovery. Marcus is done. Outside, a crowd had gathered, not protesters, but supporters. People holding signs, "Thank you Road Saints," and "Protect our children." Sheriff Bradshaw himself showed up, hat in hand. Hawk met him at the door. "I owe you an apology," Bradshaw said. "I should have pushed harder when the girl first made her statement. My deputy was dirty, and I missed it. That's on me. What matters is what happens now," Hawk replied. "Those girls need protection, therapy, families who'll believe them. They'll get it," Bradshaw promised. "And Webb? He's never seeing daylight again. Federal prosecutors are talking life sentences, plural." As Bradshaw left, Mama Jo put her arm around Lena. "How you holding up, sweetheart?" "I keep thinking about what would have happened if you hadn't come," Lena whispered. "If I'd been alone at that motel." "But you weren't alone," Mama Jo said firmly. "You reached out. You trusted. And that changed everything." 3 days after Marcus Webb's arrest, Lena stood in the parking lot of Motel 9 holding a paintbrush. The handle felt strange in her hand, solid, purposeful, creative instead of desperate. You don't have to do this, Hawk said, carrying another gallon of paint from his truck. We've got enough volunteers. Lena shook her head. I need to. The motel looked different in daylight. Less threatening. Just tired and worn down, like it had been holding its breath for years. The owner, a weathered woman named Doris, had been shocked when the road saints showed up offering to renovate. Why here? She'd asked suspiciously. Because something good started here, Mama Joe had replied. And we want to honor that. Now, dozens of people swarmed the property. Road Saints members alongside community volunteers, local churches, even some of the high school kids Lena used to go to school with. Someone had organized a food truck to feed everyone. Music played from a Bluetooth speaker, something upbeat that made the work feel less like labor. Diesel was on the roof with Rex, replacing damaged shingles. Ghost, surprisingly handy with a drill, was installing new locks on every door. Mama Joe coordinated teams repainting rooms, while others planted flowers in the neglected beds out front. Room 23 had been transformed into something special. They'd painted it a warm yellow with blue accents. New furniture replaced the sagging bed and broken nightstand. But the most important addition was the phone mounted on the wall, a direct line to a domestic violence hotline, with numbers for other services printed on a laminated card beside it. A small plaque beside the door read, "Safe Harbor Room, you are not alone." Lena traced the letters with her fingers, her throat tight. You started something, Mama Joe said, appearing beside her with 2 bottles of water. Before you, this was just a motel where bad things happened. Now it's a place where people can find help. I just sent a text, Lena said. You trusted, Mama Joe corrected. That's harder than you think. Most people suffer in silence. You chose different. A news van pulled up, not to ambush them this time, but because they'd been invited. The reporter, a young woman named Jessica Chen, had been one of the few journalists who'd questioned Marcus's story from the beginning. Now she was documenting the rebuild. Lena, Jessica called, approaching carefully. Would you be willing to say a few words on camera? Nothing about the details of your case, just about what this project means? Lena's first instinct was to refuse. But then she thought about those 4 girls they'd rescued. About all the other kids out there right now, trapped and scared, thinking no one would believe them. Okay, she said. The camera light came on. Lena took a deep breath. 3 weeks ago, I was hiding in room 23, terrified. I sent a text message to people I barely knew, asking for help. And they came, 99 bikers who didn't have to care, but did. Her voice grew stronger. This motel represents something important. It's proof that you can be at your lowest point, in the darkest place, and still find light. You just have to reach out. Someone will answer. The camera clicked off. Jessica smiled. That was perfect. Thank you. As the day wore on, something unexpected happened. People started approaching the bikers, not to gawk or judge, but to share their own stories. A middle-aged man told Hawk about escaping an abusive father 30 years ago. A college student confided in Diesel about leaving a violent relationship. A grandmother tearfully thanked Mama Joe for giving her granddaughter hope that adults sometimes actually helped. We've been doing charity rides for 15 years, Rex said later, taking a water break. Raised thousands of dollars. But this feels different. Because it's personal, Hawk replied, watching Lena laugh at something Ghost had said. We saved one kid. And in saving her, we reminded everyone what community is supposed to look like. Sheriff Bradshaw showed up in the afternoon, this time in civilian clothes. He found Hawk caulking windows. Thought you should know, Bradshaw said. Marcus's lawyer tried to get bail. Federal judge denied it. Called him a flight risk and a danger to the community. He's not going anywhere. Good. Also, those 4 girls, they're doing better. 2 were reunited with family. The other 2 are in specialized foster care. Agent Rodriguez says they're getting trauma therapy, and they're safe. Bradshaw paused. Because of what you did. Because Lena was brave enough to ask for help, Hawk corrected. Bradshaw looked around at the work being done. You know, I spent 20 years in law enforcement thinking I understood what protecting people meant. But this, he gestured at the volunteers, the fresh paint, the transformed motel, this is what it actually looks like. As sunset approached, they gathered for a group photo, bikers, volunteers, Doris the motel owner, even Sheriff Bradshaw. Lena stood in the center, flanked by Hawk and Mama Joe, holding a paintbrush like a sword. Say Road Saints, the photographer called. Road Saints, everyone shouted. Later, as they packed up tools, a car pulled into the lot. A woman got out, thin, nervous, with a black eye poorly covered by makeup. She approached Mama Joe hesitantly. Is it true? She asked quietly. What I saw on the news. About the safe room? Mama Joe's expression softened immediately. It's true. You need help? The woman nodded, tears starting. My boyfriend. I don't know where else to go. You came to the right place, Mama Joe said, putting an arm around her shoulders. Let's get you somewhere safe. As Mama Joe led the woman toward room 23, Hawk watched with quiet satisfaction. This was it, the ripple effect. One act of courage inspiring another, then another. Lena appeared beside him, paint-splattered and exhausted but smiling. We did good today. We did, Hawk agreed. And we're not stopping here. There are other motels, other towns, other kids who need to know someone's got their back. The Road Saints Protection Project, Ghost suggested, joining them. We could establish safe rooms at motels across the region. Train staff to recognize signs of abuse. Create a network. I like it, Diesel said. Hawk looked at his crew, this family he'd built from broken people who'd found purpose in helping others. Then that's what we do. We ride for those who can't. As they loaded the last of the equipment, Lena took one final look at room 23. The door was freshly painted blue, with the safe harbor plaque gleaming in the fading light. She'd walked into that room 3 weeks ago convinced she was alone in the world. She was walking away knowing she never would be again. 2 weeks later, Lena stood at the edge of the garage parking lot, a duffel bag at her feet and butterflies in her stomach. The morning sun painted everything gold, and she could hear the sound of engines warming up behind the building. Mama Joe emerged from the garage office with paperwork in hand, enrollment forms for West Valley High, transfer records, and legal guardianship documents that had been finalized 3 days ago. Ready? Mama Joe asked. Lena nodded, though she wasn't sure. West Valley was 4 hours away, a fresh start in a town where nobody knew her story, where she could just be a regular 17-year-old finishing high school. Mama Joe had family there, a cousin who ran a foster care network specializing in trauma survivors. It was the best possible situation. So why did leaving feel so hard? You're allowed to be scared, Mama Joe said gently, reading her face. New schools are terrifying. But you're also allowed to be excited. This is your life now, Lena. Yours. Not his. Not anyone's but yours. The garage door rumbled open, and Lena's breath caught. Motorcycles rolled out one by one, forming up in the lot. Not just 15 this time. Not just 30. They kept coming, a river of chrome and leather, engines rumbling like thunder promising rain. She counted 50, then 70, then lost track as they filled the entire parking lot and spilled onto the street. What? Lena started. Hawk appeared, wearing his Road Saints vest and a smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. You didn't think we'd let you leave without an escort, did you? But there's so many. Word got out, Ghost said, rolling up on his bike. When we said we were riding you to your new life, other chapters wanted in. Northern Saints drove down from Montana. Desert Saints came up from Arizona. We've got riders from 6 states here. Lena's eyes filled with tears. How many? 199, Diesel said, her grin wide. 99 answered your call at the motel. Now double that number wants to see you off right. Rex handed Lena a leather jacket, Road Saints colors, but modified. Instead of a member, the back patch read family below it, embroidered in silver thread, Lena, 199. You'll always be one of us, Rex said gruffly. Don't forget that. Lena pulled on the jacket, and it felt like armor. Like belonging. Like home. The ride to West Valley was unlike anything Lena had ever experienced. She sat behind Mama Joe on her bike, positioned in the center of the formation. In front of her, 99 bikes. Behind her, 99 more. They moved as one organism, a protective shell around her that stretched for a quarter mile down the highway. Cars pulled over to watch them pass. People on overpasses stopped and waved. Some held up phones, recording. Lena knew by evening it would be all over social media. 199 bikers escort abuse survivor to new life. Let them film, she thought. Let the world see what family really looks like. They stopped once, at a rest area, where someone had organized a surprise. The 4 girls rescued from Marcus's warehouse were there with their case workers. When they saw Lena, their faces lit up with recognition, not from meeting, but from shared experience. You're her, one girl said, maybe 15 with haunted eyes. The one who sent the text. I'm just Lena, she replied. You're the reason we're free, another girl said. The agents told us. If you hadn't been brave enough to ask for help, they never would have found us. They hugged, 5 survivors holding each other while 199 bikers formed a protective circle around them, making sure the moment stayed private and sacred. As they prepared to ride again, Agent Rodriguez approached Hawk. The trial scheduled for January. Marcus is facing 73 counts across federal and state charges. His lawyers talking about a plea deal, but the prosecutors pushing for maximum sentences on everything. How long? Hawk asked. If convicted on all counts? We're looking at consecutive life sentences. He'll die in prison. Hawk nodded slowly. Good. The final stretch into West Valley felt both too long and too short. Lena wanted to memorize everything, the way the sunlight caught the chrome, the rumble of engines that had become her lullaby, the sight of Hawk leading the formation with the confidence of someone who'd found his purpose. They pulled up to a modest house on a tree-lined street. Mama Joe's cousin Sarah waited on the porch, a woman with kind eyes and an easy smile. A black cat wound around her ankles. The bikes shut off one by one until the world was quiet except for birdsong and wind through leaves. Lena dismounted, suddenly shy. How do you say goodbye to people who'd saved your life? Hawk approached first. He didn't say anything, just pulled her into a bear hug. Then Mama Joe, Ghost, Diesel, Rex, one by one, they said their farewells. Some with words, some with just a hand on her shoulder, all of them with love. You call if you need anything, Mama Joe said fiercely. Anything at all. I'm only 4 hours away, but I can be here in 3 if I need to be. I know, Lena whispered. Thank you. For everything. As Mama Joe walked Lena to the porch to meet Sarah, the 199 bikes fired up again in perfect synchronization. It wasn't a roar this time, it was a promise. At a red light 3 blocks away, Hawk glanced in his mirror. The formation stretched behind him, 199 riders strong. His phone buzzed with a text from Lena. I'm home. Thank you for showing me what family means. He smiled and typed back, we ride for those who can't. Today, you ride for yourself. Make us proud, kid. The light turned green. As they rolled through West Valley, people stopped to stare at the massive formation. A father pointed them out to his daughter. An old veteran saluted. A teenager with a black eye watched from a bus stop, and Mama Joe made a mental note of the location. They'd be back. Because that's what the Road Saints did. They showed up. They protected. They proved that family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's 99 strangers on motorcycles who hear a desperate text and decide to answer. Sometimes it's 199 lights cutting through the darkness. And sometimes, that's all it takes to change everything. 6 months later, Lena graduated high school with honors. She enrolled in social work at the local college, determined to help others the way she'd been helped. At her graduation, 199 bikers sat in the audience wearing their finest, hooting and hollering when her name was called. Marcus Webb was convicted on all 73 counts. He received 4 consecutive life sentences with no possibility of parole. The Road Saints Protection Project expanded to 43 motels across 7 states. They rescued 22 more victims in the first year alone. And every single person who called for help got the same response. The roar of engines. The flash of chrome. And the promise that they were no longer alone.